Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, Mindset Elevation Coach, publisher of Aspire Magazine and Intentional Living Guide. And you know how passionate I am about bringing you guests that can help you elevate the quality of your life, your inner life, your outer life, all of it. And today we're going to be talking about age, because let me tell you, age isn't what it used to be. In past generations, people became grandparents by the age of 50. Today, it isn't unusual to see someone in their 40s, 50s, or beyond become a first-time parent. Psychologist Dr. Frieda Birnbaum, award-winning author of Life Begins at 50, A New View of Motherhood, Marriage, and Reinventing Ourselves, is living proof that age is no longer a limitation after having twins at 60. She explains why society's view of age is changing and how we should redefine age to keep up with those changes. Welcome, Dr. Frieda.
Thank you so much.
So first, I'm really curious, what led you to write a book about one of my favorite topics? I just turned 60, about what others used to call middle age, right? About that whole new chapter of our lives. What led you to decide to do that?
What led me to that was that I saw that it's nothing to fear, but a lot to celebrate. And I wanted to share that with other people. Women especially fear aging, and they think that they're going to fall apart. They're no longer going to be important, relevant to other people, or that they won't have any options in their lives, that their lives are over. And then on the contrary, on a personal level, and I'm sure I'm talking about many women and many people, that when you get to be 50, 60, 70 and on, you really have this burst of energy and this excitement, really, that you didn't have before. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you can focus on who you are and what you want, because developmentally, we have had all these other concerns, raising children, working hard to make enough money to pay for the mortgage, going to college, whatever that is. So a lot of people have told me that 60 was one of the most exciting times for them, and they were really surprised, where people felt that they had something to say, they were listened to more, and they became the authority as well.
So powerful. I can truly relate because I just turned 60 in October. But I can say that even when I remember turning 50, saying, wow, these are my years. I'm a grandmother of a 22-year-old and a 11-year-old. But I remember specifically at my 50th birthday party, that whole month, I remember saying, well, I knew myself in that moment better than I ever had. So I was like excited for the future. I never looked, as many women do, as, oh my God, I'm 50. I go, what a blessing I made it to 50.
Well, it's true. I mean, I had a child when I was 53. I never let anyone tell me who I was supposed to be. I listened to myself. And, there's always a stigma. You may even lose friends because you're not on track with where they are. But then again, now things have changed, and it's more apropos to who I was when I wasn't supported for the things that I was doing. So you can't really base anything on anything but your own appreciation and your own understanding of who you are and what your expectations are.
Oh, I agree completely. I'm all about intentional and authentic living and living a soul-aligned life. So If it feels aligned within me, whatever the decision may be, then I know it's the right one for me. I've led my life that way. And, one of the other things too, Dr. Frieda, is I can remember in my teen years, right, looking at the older people in my life and thinking, oh my God, she's, 35 or 40 and she's middle aged. Her time is done. And then as I aged, I'm like, baby, I'm just beginning and I'm 60. So have you noticed that the definition of middle age has changed or shifted?
Well, it's definitely not 30 or 35. I was accepted to Columbia Graduate School, University, at the age of 35. And at that time, people said, oh, I didn't know they're accepting middle-aged people. And I felt so horrible. It was an insult. I was 35 at the time. Today, middle age is really pushed on. 60 is middle-aged. But it's interesting because what does middle-aged really mean? Middle age is not necessarily going downhill. That's what it seemed to imply. Middle age is really getting to your peak. It's the best time. Isn't that the truth?
Oh my God, I agree 100%. It's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's like all the labels and shoulds and have tos have been like falling away. And I'm becoming, and especially in this last decade from 50 to 60, my more authentic self, because of what you said at the very beginning of I'm listening to myself and I don't have the weight of all the expectations that I had when I was younger, right? I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. And there's a freedom now within myself. And that's why I love my work with women, which are mostly, they identify, believe it or not, as midlife women. They're all entrepreneurs. And I'm watching them step into their power. I have clients that are 70 and are just starting businesses. And of course I have all ages, but I champion them.
I'll tell you, I'm in my 70s.
You look good, baby.
I feel terrific. Don't anyone tell me I'm old. I'll tell you, because I'll tell them they're wrong. How many times they hang up on the phone when they call about Medicare? Do you need a hearing aid? I said, what are you kidding? Buy it for yourself. I don't need anything. But the thing is that, it's really interesting what happened to me and what I'm doing. I'm in the media and I'm in visually as well on television with 30-year-olds because that's what they're prone to hire, especially women still. But I'm in this career, which is very liberating. It's something that I've always wanted to do. And now at this point in time, there's no one to tell me what I have to do anymore. So it is a wonderful time to reinvent yourself. I was quoted in Newsweek as saying ageism needs to be redefined because it does, because those numbers don't mean the same thing. You talk about 35, people are just starting to have families at 35 today. They're starting to have relationships just beginning their lives. So middle age is a really false concept of what those numbers mean.
And I love that. And how would you like us, or well, not just us, but culturally, how would you like to see us redefine age? Is it is it what others project on us when they hear our age? Is it that's the energy you would like to shift?
No, of course not. I mean, redefining your age, you have to know that it's when you get older is when you know yourself the most. And that when I'm talking about reinventing yourself, people in their 60s, 70s having second careers are doing something that maybe they couldn't have done earlier on. And that's really what redefining what age means. And age is something that is much younger, older now. So if it used to be 50 was old, we're nowhere near getting old at 50. Those numbers don't imply anymore who we really are. So when you're talking about having children at 60, I was shocked at the way the world saw that age. And I had somebody coming in from Germany, a reporter. He physically flew from Germany to see me. And he said to me, where's the old lady? And I said, I guess I'm the old lady, because I didn't know that, that's what you were supposed to look like. I just kept going on with my life, and this is who I am. So you don't necessarily fall apart or have all these wrinkles and a babushka and become this old person all of a sudden. It's really not true. So the numbers, the identification of what numbers mean today is that you can redefine yourself at 60, have this career that you've really would have enjoyed, and it's not too late to enjoy it at that time. And if it's the media, which is really very opinionated about what you're supposed to look like, it doesn't matter. You have to set your own sense of rules. Remember Barbara Walters when she first came on television? And who was it with her that didn't want her next to him because she was a woman? He didn't want her to be a newscaster, a news reporter.
I remember that.
And how crazy that sounds. Now, when we look at what we're talking about, years from now, they're going to say, of course, you're 60 years old. You have to do something with yourself. You want to enjoy your life. So it's not as if you're putting yourself away anymore. It used to be you retired at 50. You had grandchildren when you were in your 40s. Today, you can be in your 70s and be productive and energetic. Vacations have changed. They're more focused on physical exercise, water rafting, whatever it is you want to do. It isn't just sitting around of defining something that you're not. So to fit into a mold, I remember someone said to me, why don't you just go to Florida? And first of all, Florida's okay, but and just enjoy yourself. To me, that was not enjoying myself. To me, I have too much that I feel the days have to offer. So it's really something to really celebrate and to look forward to. And it's a meeting of the minds. You can be a boring 30-year-old, or you can be an exciting 70-year-old. We have to look at who that person is.
That's beautiful. And Dr. Frieda, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back in a moment, I want to talk about your book, Life Begins at 50, A New View of Motherhood, Marriage, and Reinventing Ourselves. So we'll be back in a moment, my friends.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. You can learn more at drfrieda.com. So, Frieda, you wrote a book, Life Begins at 50, A New View of Motherhood, Marriage, and Reinventing Ourselves. I love that Reinventing Ourselves. So what can women expect, or men, my audience is women, what can they expect to discover within the pages of your book?
Well, first of all, within the pages of my book, we're at a place now that we don't have to beat the time clock. In vitro has helped us to have careers and educate ourselves later. And because of that, we're able to actually have some of the same standards that men have today, and not have to rush, but become more educated, have higher status careers to build that up, and then have children later in life. So living younger has to do with what you do with the years of your life. And even today, the way women look has changed. We don't wear the house dresses anymore. We wear pretty much the same clothing that we're talking about, a span from 20s into our 80s. And our roles are pretty consistent. Children, careers, grandchildren, they're all intermeshed with one another. There isn't anything that defines one more specifically, one person more specifically than the other. So my journey has been that I have found that when you do something different, people will not support it. But after a while, you'll get followers. And those followers are the ones that are going to set a new pace and a new place for the future for other people as well. I mean, I had been on different shows with different people, with revolutionary women, Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, and I've spoken to millions after that on different shows. And it seems to be that with everything that we're doing, it's starting another frontier for us. And that frontier is age. That frontier is age coming out of the closet. Women tend to not tell the truth about their age. And it's really a deficit because the implication is that they're old. And if people knew how they define their age would have a different mindset, a different value, and we could move on and accept it. And it wouldn't be something that's secretive anymore. But women do lie about their age.
I know and I've had friends that do that, and I can feel this sense of shame, right? Because to me, the only reason you would lie about your age if you feel ashamed of what it means to others. And I've always looked at it from a spiritual perspective, that I'm grateful for every day that I'm given. There's many that would love another day and they're not here, or they're struggling with an illness. So for me, aging has always been a blessing. And I've talked to some friends, are in the same age range, and they're like, Linda, especially in corporations, I have to say, some of my friends now, they think of it, Dr. Frieda, are in corporate America. And they said, Lynn, I don't let anyone know my age because it goes against me here. But a man in corporate America is looked at as, elevated. So you must have heard that in your work too.
That's true too, but women especially have been seeking higher status careers. So that's something that they're in control, taking charge. So it's less of a factor now. And because of that, things have changed for them, and which means that their families, their relationships, their social lives have gotten better. So it trickles down into their lifestyles as well. And women who have high status careers often tend not to even get married because they feel a relationship sometimes complicates the direction they want to go into, and they can just be with someone without the certificate, without the document as well. So that's changed too. So we're not getting as much of this prejudice against us when we're working today. Sometimes our bosses will be women. And we have ways now of taking care of our children and making sure they're okay and still having careers. So this way of dealing with it today is different than what we had. That's changing. And women should know that. So it shouldn't be used as an excuse to say that they can't do something because they're going to be discriminated against. It's less so today.
Oh, thankfully
Yeah.
it is. And you, I know, are also a seasoned media personality, as you touched on earlier, on topics such as family dynamics, parenthood, relationships, addiction, anxiety, depression. Boy, you must have been pretty busy the last few years with everything we've been going through. Now, are you in private practice, or is your work writing, speaking, educating?
I'm doing both, actually. I just had a patient before I got on the air with you. So I have a private practice and my podcast, and then I'm on television, radio, and all that stuff, and writing and having a play written as well. So why am I doing that? Because I really feel that that is something that keeps me balanced. That is something that fills me up. And I know that you don't have to worry about failure, because when you are involved in all kinds of things, then you're not highly invested in being rejected. You're more invested in keeping going. And you'll see, when you don't do, the less you do, the less you want to do. And when you're doing, there's something that you get, this adrenaline that you don't have before. So you shouldn't be afraid to put your energy out there. The days become much more colorful.
Yeah, and more fulfilling for me. I have various media brands, and I work with women around the world, and my audiences are all women on the path of self-discovery. It turns me on. Like I haven't had in 10 years a moment or a day that I go, oh my God, I have to go into the office, which happens to be in my home. I don't have that because I'm living from my true self. Do you find that a lot of women in our age range, it's a deeper sense of fulfillment. It's not a chasing or a striving. That's my truth anyway. But has anyone else used those words? It feels like they are grounded in their lives and they're done with the chasing, striving, masculine pushing energy.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's first of all, it's much easier today to be that person. And I had a pleasure of interviewing women who were in more male oriented positions. One climbed high towers in construction. One had a beer factory. One was a CEO. One was an Indian woman that came here who really wanted to be a doctor. And so she fled her country because they weren't allowed to be doctors. A woman from India, I meant. So so I had the opportunity of interviewing these women, and it's just amazing that they found their comfort level. And it wasn't about fitting in at all. It really wasn't about being accepted. It wasn't even about having to make the money, although the money came with it. But it was about having the leisure to choose what they wanted to do, because discrimination is something that is generalized. When you talk to individuals, I was on a radio show with 3 million listeners actually. I helped co-host it, and Al Corlin show, and talked about racism and discrimination with Black population, and that's too very generalized. When you hear about people's struggles and pursuits, it's extremely enlightening to see the message, how people have made it. So there's really no reason what your gender is or what your age is. It doesn't really matter. It matters what difference you make. It matters what accomplishments you feel you want to, follow through with. Those are the things, when you look at your life, is something that really can balance you. I was accepted to Columbia at 35, and I had got my PhD at the age of 46. And here I am. It's like I've been doing this for a long time, and people will say, "Oh, I'm 30, it's too late." No, um, it's only too late if you make it too late. And if you don't make it too late, you can get everything in that you want to get in. So can't find excuses. And we're looking at success has to do a lot with failure. That's part of it. And people, as they get older, one of their biggest regrets is not to have tried and failed and seen if they could or could not do something that was of an interest to them. So that's something that I continue to do. And that's something that defines who I am. And when I interviewed these other women and what defined them, they were able to juggle children, relationships, their careers, their husbands' careers. They were able to do it all. So when you stop and think, why can't you? It's mostly because you haven't tried it. That's about the only reason.
So true. And I have this conversation with my with friends as well as clients when they say something like you just mentioned, "Oh, I'm too old to do this. I'm 30 or 40, whatever the number is." And I say, listen, the years are going to go by no matter what. You can either go after your dreams and at the end of that same time period have your dreams, or you can have excuses. But time's going to go by no matter what. What you do with that time is up to you. And it's what you shared. So many of us have so many excuses because I think we're afraid of failing. And Dr. Birnbaum, we're going to go right to break. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. I'll be back in a moment, my friends. I am with Dr. Frieda of drfrieda.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Your worth is not determined by the number on the scale. You are enough right now, exactly as you are. If you're like many midlife women, you've thought, if I could just reach my ideal weight, I'd be so much happier. What we're really craving is our own love and acceptance, and Sarah Haas is that guide for your journey. Sarah is a women's weight release expert and body love coach, and walks alongside midlife women ready to say yes to self-care, self-compassion, and body love so they can become the healthy, vibrant, and unapologetically confident women they're here to be. Her holistic approach integrates nutrition, body movement, and self-care to nurture body, mind, and spirit. Visit sarahhaaswellness.com for supportive resources, programs, and more for midlife women ready to reclaim their health.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I am with Dr. Frieda Birnbaum, author of Life Begins at 50, a new view of motherhood, marriage, and reinventing ourselves. We're talking about age, expectations, redefining age. And so right before the break, Dr. Frieda, we were talking about, we all, and I believe I used to do this too, we all make excuses around time and age. And it's based on some, I believe, scripts that we just picked up culturally. And so I love that you're out there shifting all of that, that you went for your PhD at 35, that you chose to have children at 60, like all the sacred milestones that you've done defying age, right? Defying the expectations of what others thought age was.
Yes, and not only that, when you're in your 20s, you're happy. 20s, 60s, and into your 70s and even 80s is when you're the happiest. And when you're in the middle of all that, you're not as happy. You have a lot of pressure to achieve, to accomplish. Your time is not necessarily your own. It's not necessarily something that we are aware of, that we want to, run after our dreams and happiness. But while we're running after them, that's the very least thing that is making us happy, to work more, to make more money, to have more status, more success, more power. It's a fleeting moment. And what really keeps us grounded and what makes us happy, and study after study has shown that, is that when you have the time to sit back, not literally sit back, but the time you have to look back and see where the joys are, it's really, time is your biggest asset, not all the other things I mentioned. Time to hang out and to do nothing, to have fun, to enjoy relationships. Those are the things that really make us happy. The most simplest things that everyone can have. That's where we need to orient ourselves.
That's beautiful. For me, like my life values, my word of the year, whatever the energy you want, spaciousness and freedom is so important to me. Spaciousness in my day, spaciousness in my schedule, spaciousness in my creativity. And those were things I didn't identify as valuable many years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I built my whole company that, my team has Fridays off. I'm done by 3:00. I just came back from a 6-week sabbatical because spaciousness is important to me. So do you see now the women now, they're redefining not only what age is, but what's truly important. So someone else, spaciousness may not be their deepest desire for their life. It could be something else. Have you noticed a redefinition of what matters?
Yes, we are. We're going into a different type of reassessment of what is important in our lives. The baby boomers, they actually felt that things, the cars, the houses, the lifestyles, that was important. And then the millennials really think that what's important is not how much money you have, but how much time you have. So they'd rather not have the money to go on that plane once a year or twice a year, but being able to spend times in the afternoons with their kids instead. So when we're talking about age and defining happiness and what our comfort levels are, the people in Finland are, the most happiest people because of the fact that they have off from work, they get paid when they have children, they don't have to work for months at a time. They leave work at 3 and they spend time with their families. So we're talking about balancing age. What does age mean? Where is our comfort level? What do we define as the best time? The best time is when you have the connections and you have the downtime to really enjoy. So that's the direction we're going in. And I think the pandemic sort of pumped us in that direction because we couldn't go in there. So it was becoming more virtual. And now people don't even want to go back to work because they see that they were happier staying home with their families and working virtually. So that's changed also. So when we talk about age and the implications of what happiness means with age, it's not necessarily into your 30s, 40s, 50s, but it's the 60s, 70s, 80s, believe it or not. And it's what you do with your time rather than how much money and success you have.
Yeah, it just, I love this chapter. And my honey we're at a beautiful chapter together. He's 70, he'll be 71 actually tomorrow. And everyone that meets him is like, there's no way he's 71. And because he never owned a number, he's so vibrant and healthy and active, still running his company of 50 years. He's a contractor. And it's been extraordinary watching us redefine together what this chapter is. We're 11 years apart. Sometimes I go, you have more energy than I do, and I'm younger. So I see it even with the men in my life, how they're redefining age too. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about, and I'll admit I'm sometimes guilty of this thought of, I'll even say to him, babe, I love this, but should I wear it? He goes, why wouldn't you wear that? And I say, well, I'm 60. And he goes, that's a bullshit story, Len. He goes, if you like it and you feel good in it.
Sorry, I just dropped my mic, but I just wanted
That's
to interrupt.
okay. If you like it and you feel good in it, wear what you want to wear. It has nothing to do with your age. So have you found that too?
Yeah, and that's a very important topic because women used to dress according to their age. And I always tell the story about seeing women when I was a child wearing these grandmother shoes that tied the laces, the black shoes. And I always said, if they didn't wear those shoes, they wouldn't look that old. And my mother with the house dresses as well. That's what she liked to wear. And today, everybody wears the same kind of clothing. It doesn't really matter. It's comfortable clothing. And when we get dressed up, pretty much it has to do more with your weight than anything else. You can wear dresses that are fitted. You can wear high heels. You can wear long hair. It's just a matter of your own style. My style, as you just took a glimpse of me when we met, is pretty much the same style I've had all along. The same length hair, the same, makeup, I think, and the same clothing. So our identity is not based on the number, but it's based on our lifestyles and what we do. And today, here I am talking to you, and I'm just wearing sneakers, stretch pants, and I'm comfortable. Of course, nobody sees me. Then again, if I am seen, sometimes it's up to my waist and no one sees the rest. But the most important thing to know is, what is your style? What is your comfort level? And if you can reassess it if you want to, if you don't want to reassess it and stay with what you have and where you are, that's acceptable as well. It's how you want to be identified. Clothes gives you a feeling of what that person wants to be. And so you have to be able to see that today, that has extremely changed when you go to designer clothing or when you go to, casual clothing or exercise clothing. You don't see ages and groups of different designs. you see the designs that you are comfortable with. So we're talking about makeup, your hair, the different places you go to defines who you are and how you dress. If you go somewhere where you're going to be dressed up, so you dress up, you don't dress
You
down.
just-
That's more important to fit into the occasion and what you're comfortable with than to say, this is my number, so therefore, this is the way I have to represent myself.
Oh, so powerful, such a powerful message. We're going to switch gears. We're going to take our final break. And for the last segment, I want to talk about some of the things that you've seen with anxiety and depression for women in the last few years, because we had to take on even bigger roles in our lives and our family to juggle everything that's happened. So we'll be back in a moment with Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. You can learn more at drfrieda.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Are you ready to make the second half of your life the best half of your life, my midlife friend? Living a life full of happiness, abundance, and success is possible when you learn strategies to soothe your inner critic, honor your inner wisdom, and that support you to co-create your life from a place of joy and possibility. Don't walk the journey alone. Midlife Transformation Guide, Master Certified Law of Attraction Coach, and Certified Desire Factor Coach, Karen Shire, will passionately support you to uncover and release what no longer lights you up, so you can go from feeling stuck, stressed, and unfulfilled to feeling free, empowered, and eager for the next chapter of your life. Learn more at KarenShireCoaching.com and schedule a complimentary discovery call today.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Welcome back. You are listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy. With me today is psychologist Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. Please visit her at drfrieda.com to learn more about all the brilliance and expertise she's sharing about redefining age, and so much more I'm sure you'll find on her blog. So in our last segment, Dr. Frieda, I talked to a lot of women through the magazine and other media brands that I have, and they struggle with anxiety now more than ever. Did you see an increase of that in your practice, especially with women?
Oh, well, when we're talking about anxiety, women have always had more anxiety. I would think it would be less anxiety as far as controlling their lives. We used to have the double standards where women were much more dependent on men, and they would put up with control. They were unhappy, and divorce used to be a disease. Today, it's you're getting divorced, good for you. They make parties around it. Women are more liberated. And it's interesting because my research showed that when women are unhappy and they get a divorce, they fulfill who they are. They better themselves. They educate themselves more, whatever it is they want to do. And men, after a divorce, get into a new relationship. So they're each fulfilling a part of themselves that they didn't have so much men as boys were brought up to achieve. And women, as girls, were in the past brought up to take care of other people. And then that was a part of themselves that was missing, that they filled in when after they got a divorce. So are women more anxiety prone? I don't know if that's the case. I think that I have more men coming to see me now than before, and they're more nurturing and taking on different roles. I think women have become more responsible with their income. And maybe if you're talking about anxiety because of balancing career and family, that's a possibility because women like to do it all. So they'll come home from work and they'll make the dinner and they'll take care of the kids, where men may not necessarily be prone. And that's more of an identity crisis, that they want to fulfill the feminine role at home, so they can feel that they're not missing out on anything. So that could be where some of the anxiety is coming from.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of women. They just feel like, and I think it's an identity they took on maybe culturally or in their family, and they have guilt for wanting to release some of the expectations on them, like being the only person in the family that cleans the house. I'm just using that as an example.
Yes.
And feeling guilty if they expect their partner or children to be a part of it. And I think that's identity of, I wouldn't be a good wife or mother if I asked for help. Is that something you've seen or heard?
Yes, that's true. And when you have to do the whole thing, then you have to be careful what you ask for, because then it works against you. So everything that women have strived for, they've really gotten this backlash from, because now they're working even harder than before. So you have to be careful that if you're going to have access to more income, take advantage of it and hire cleaning people. People that are most guilty are the women that have to work, women that want to work, or women that leave their children home with house care help and are doing what they want to do, are the least guilty. So you have to realize that children, if they're brought up in a way that's supportive and healthy, it doesn't matter if you're there or not, as long as you have the right kind of people to take care of them. But women feel guilty very quickly about their roles and with their families, if their kids are okay. Now, today, it's changed a lot. Women have husbands who are more nurturing, so it's not necessarily only them. And their husbands have wives who are taking on some financial responsibility. So there's this balance back and forth that is making more sense. And the relationships have become much more equal since women have had a higher status careers, because they're able to make more financial and social decisions at home too. So that's shifted a lot as well.
Yeah, I'm noticing even with my friends, I think we're having braver conversations too.
Yeah.
Now, you wrote a book previously also called What Price Power, an in-depth study of the professional woman in a relationship. So when you wrote that book, it was studying like corporate America, women in corporate America?
It was women with high status careers. And I wanted to study to see if relationships changed around the woman's career, if she was seen and treated differently. And it did change profoundly. The husband respected his wife, I hate to say this, much more when she had a high status career. And although other men and women were intimidated by it, because these women often made more money than their husbands and made them uncomfortable, but the relationship shifted. Now, sometimes in the midst of it, divorce did occur because the original reasons for the marriage changed. But if it endured, it was better than ever, because there were both people supporting each other's needs. So that was part of what my research did, what I did for my PhD.
That's powerful. So, my friend, what do you have planned coming up in the future? What are you up to? What can they expect to find on your blog?
Well, I have my podcast, the Dr. Frieda Show, DOCTOR, FRIEDA show. I'm going on, different media interviews, with the help of my wonderful publicist, Steve Allen, and I've been a co-host on a radio show. What else am I doing? I'm writing another book. It's called Shattering the Mold, about my parents' struggles in the Holocaust and how they came back with 5 children. Somebody is going to put that into a play kind of format. Public speaking. I have my kids here. The twins are actually going to be 16 again. I can't keep up with that. They're almost 6 feet tall.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they're honor students. And then I have my son home from college now. He's leaving soon. He's doing very well. And my husband, and and life goes on. Just I keep filling it in with activities that I enjoy, shows that I enjoy, and speaking to people like yourself, and also hoping to interview some interesting women as well who have defied the odds, or people who have defied the odds to become everything that they wanted to be, And I also feel, just to close it off, that the ones that are most motivated, if you come from a home, for your listeners, that there is not much going on, guess what? You'll be more motivated than somebody who has everything already. So your life will be much more of a challenge and actually much more joyful as well.
It's funny because I'm a high school dropout, runaway, single welfare mom, and you're right. I mean, my early years may have been a struggle, but the joy of the last couple decades, because I chose joy, I chose a new story, I made different choices. These are the best years, People say that know my life story. I was featured on NBC, flew me out, in 2000 or 2001 on NBC's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, to share my life story. And I remember a woman going, "How were you so joyful when you went through all that?" And I said, "I choose joy in every moment." I might not have been able to choose that story.
Because you're more motivated to succeed. People who are already successful don't have that drive.
That yearning.
That journey. That's absolutely true. So the listeners, if you're not in a good place, you should be even more motivated to make it better.
Yeah, because I found for me, it was, got a few minutes, I wanted my story to make a difference, right? So the wounds of my past were almost like fire for my soul, so that I can inspire, empower, and support women on their journey, so they know that even if you're in your darkest days, doesn't mean there isn't going to be light again. But you have to hold on and want something more for yourself. You have to want it first. And that's really what you're speaking to, is that yearning, that deep desire.
The darkest stage can get you to the highest heights. That's what it takes. That's the downtime of getting started. So when people are in that darkest stage, it's really an opportunity to move elsewhere. Otherwise, as I said before, why bother? You're not in a bad place to begin with, and you sort of stay there, but you stay stuck. And for people like us, for you and I, that wouldn't be enough. It definitely would not be enough. We need to keep moving.
No, I love like even the word evolve. I don't want to ever have stagnant energy, stagnant body, stagnant dreams. So I wanted to just say thank you for joining me today. Thank you for bringing this message out to the world and for everything that you're doing. I always love highlighting women who are really shining a light on a topic that I know can touch many lives. So thank you, Frieda, for joining me.
Women who make changes change history, and it's just a pleasure to have been on your show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I want to invite everybody, please visit Frieda at Dr. Frieda, and that is FRIEDA.com, drfrieda.com. And of course, grab a copy of a book, Life Begins at 50. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.